It is very important when you're president of the United States, or at least traditionally it has been, that you know other world leaders. And this is the time when prospective candidates should be on their A game and able to identify anybody that they might have to do business with should they become president of the United States. During an interview with Telemundo ahead of the Nevada caucuses, there were a number of candidates asked to identify the Mexican president, Obrador. And they didn't do so well. First up is Amy Klobuchar. Let's take a look.
What do you know about the Mexican president?
Okay, well, what I will tell you is that I will visit Mexico in the first 100 years. 100 days.
100 days.
I will visit there.
Are running for president.
Yeah.
What do you know about the Mexican president now?
Well, I know that he is elected in the last few years. I don't know him personally. I've met with the ambassador, and I was actually supportive of the trade agreement. So I worked with the embassy on that. They came to meet with me.
And I ask because it's so important, especially Nevada, California, Arizona, Texas. This is our neighbor to the south. Do you know anything about him? Specifically his politics, what he's doing, since this would be the country you would share a border with? Anything you can tell me about him?
I know that they are neighbors, and regardless of who the leader is, that it is someone that I will work with.
Do you? I'm sorry to ask this, but do you know who he is? Do you know his name?
Yeah. I know that he is the Mexican president.
But can you tell me his name?
No. So.
Don't you think it would be important if you're running for president to know who the president of Mexico, the country to the south of the United States, is?
Yes.
Because it affects so many Americans. Mexican Americans are the largest Hispanic, the largest number of Hispanics in the U.S. are Mexican Americans.
Of course it is, yes.
And I will look it up immediately, I promise you. And you know what she's never gonna forget?
Obrador, cringe
worthy.
And she's on Noticias on Telemundo. Like when you're in
Yeah, what do you think about this?
Well, these people that are running for office, or anyone that's in the public eye, be it a politician, you're heavily media trained, right? And you also have a team of people, or someone, or an assistant who is like, okay, you're going in here to talk to these people. Here are the bullet points and the pertinent information you need to know in regards to what you're gonna be talking about today. I don't know who got fired that day for not telling Amy Klobuchar who the president was, and then the guy doubled down. All the questions were very just like, do you know your ish, Amy?
Yeah.
And you don't.
Yeah.
And the piece de resistance, what's the president's name?
And then her answer, he's the Mexican president. I know he's the Mexican president.
For 100 days.
I know there are neighbors.
Yeah.
Who was she looking at when she was looking for someone to throw her like a life preserver,
or to throw a stapler at?
Right, because Amy Klobuchar is known to have like or rumored to have quite the fiery streak as a boss, and yell at her staffers and throw staplers at them.
So I think I felt really bad when she was looking up, because she looked so uncomfortable. And honestly, that line of questioning where he ended the first question, or her answer, sort of understanding that she probably doesn't know much, and he just wanted to press to see. Like, I wanted that with Trump so much in 2016. Like when he's asked like what his favorite like verse in the Bible is, and it's clear that he's literally never cracked the front cover. Like I want them to press, and I feel like more often than not, they probably would come up dry with a lot of these politicians. And the thing is, like she's a senator, she's running for president. At some point, does it become kind of unacceptable to not know? Like you were a senator involved in a trade deal involving Mexico.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
and she's not the only one, to be fair, which we're gonna get to, but.
Yeah, and especially because she is trying to be that person from the Midwest who revitalizes the manufacturing sectors, and vital to that is the renegotiated USMCA, and at least, because it's not just that she doesn't know his name. Seemingly, it also seems that when he follows up with like, do you know the like situation or the circumstances under which he was elected, any of his politics, and he's more leftist than pretty much the known history of Mexico.
Yeah.
And that would be an interesting thing to know, or at least something you would assume, even if she can't summon the name, because some people are bad with names.
Sure.
At the very least, you could like describe him, or like say, he's got gray hair and he's he's been around for a while, and like that kind of stuff. But it is really rough. I don't know. So she, as you mentioned, she isn't the only one. Tom Steyer, billionaire Tom Steyer. Not as high an expectation game with him to know everybody. He is, however, quite exuberant when you see him interviewed. How does he handle it?
Can you tell me what you know about Mexico, about its president and about the current government? What do you know about Mexico?
Look, Mexico has had an issue in terms of governmental control for a really, really long time.
I'm just interested in your thoughts on the president. What can you tell me about him?
I don't know that much. I mean, I've read about him, but I don't know that much about him.
What do you know about him? Being that he's the neighbor to the South, very important to whoever's president of the United States.
They elected a left-wing guy who's very progressive, who's the absolute diametric opposite of Donald Trump.
I feel like a lot of the times, this is our neighbor to the South, and a lot of people don't even know his name. So you know.
I forget.
Do you know his name?
I forget, but I'm just saying, I followed this policy.
I'm sorry, we are Telemundo and our viewers are Hispanic speakers, and you want the candidacy to represent the Democrats, but you can't tell me the president of Mexico. You don't know who the president of Mexico is.
I followed this election. I've watched what's happening. Don't you think it's
important to know who the neighbor to the South is?
I do.
But what do you say to the viewers after not knowing who Andrés Manuel López Obrador is?
Because what I do know is who he is. I do know what he stands for. I do know the history of Mexican politics. I have followed that. I go to Mexico every single year.
Yeah, so what do you think? He did have more contextual background on Obrador, but he didn't have the name. He was still pushed the same way. What do you think?
Lesser of two evils here, right? So we saw Klobuchar completely fail at made it look, I don't want to say ridiculous, but it was a little uncomfortable to watch, yes? But this guy, he leaned into him not knowing, but said, look, I don't know his name, but I know what he stands for, he's leftist, and didn't allow I feel like the interviewer was not, I don't want to say bullying him, but kind of
a little bit mocking.
We've done this interview thing. We've interviewed people in like what seems to be the kind of room. Maybe this looks like a junket room to me. It's like a dark, unidentifiable room,
like a spotlight,
where people are coming in and moving along. And this seems like he gets to interview a bunch. But like, at what point do you draw the line? I feel like it changes. Like I've done a lot of junket interviews with like people who have been in like hot tub time machine. And I'm like, I don't want to, this is not the time to do the hard hitting interview.
Right.
But at what point is it weird for him to keep pressing?
It was weird to keep pressing. After he gave as much context as he did, which was good, which was like he knew his political leanings, etc. He could have backed off a little bit, and then the interviewer, of course, he's working for Telemundo, which we know the weight that and the culture for Latinx that Telemundo has. He leans in, it's like you're on Telemundo right now. You should know that our audience is Latinx, Hispanic, and they would like for you to know who the president of Mexico is, and I want to lean on that humans forget, but I think
you're so pure of heart. That's what I love about you,
but
Jason.
I will also say though, if you are ascending to a place where you want to have power, which is running for the president of the United States, it's your job to be as aware and abreast of every powerful political figure as you can in the world, including our neighbors to the south, because that's what they keep using. As journalists, we have to make sure we're abreast of so much in order to be factual and to make sure our audience gets fair and balanced news, right?
Yes. So I would add, I think it did come off a little bit aggressive, but I think it's perfectly fine to ask, do you know their name?
It is.
Yeah.
But not.
We got that he didn't know the name. That's my only. Just like from my.
I think you need to make it clear.
Being in those
he
interviews.
obviously knew a little bit more about the last election. He knew at least something.
Yeah,
he didn't know the dude's name. He didn't know his name.
Oh, 100%. And the reason that this stands out so much is, like, you're specifically running to replace a guy who a lot of people know as incurious, believes he knows everything without actually doing any of the study, doesn't take any of this seriously. Like, you do not want to ever project a Trumpian approach to governance. And especially, this isn't like, I don't know, pick a random country that we haven't had a lot of relations with in the past few years. Yeah. It's Mexico. We just had the USMCA, like, which I guess for Steyer maybe isn't as important, but as a businessman, you'd think he'd be tapped into it. But definitely for any senator who was voting on this thing like a month ago.
There's one more video that we haven't seen yet, and I do want to play it because I haven't seen it either. Buttigieg was asked the same question, so we have that video. I want to see it for myself.
Mexico is among the most important bilateral relationships we have, and that's why it will be one of the very first bilateral visits I make as president.
Do you know anything about what's been going on lately?
You know, I haven't followed all of the internal politics, but what I know is that there are steps being taken by a government in a country that I think is under a lot of pressure. Not only pressure from the behavior of the American government, but of course pressure from the arrival of so many Central American migrants who are fleeing for their lives. And we should not expect Mexico to manage these things alone.
I have to ask you, can you tell me who the president of Mexico is?
Yeah, President López Obrador, I hope.
You're the only one that's been able to tell me that today.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. I'm no expert on Mexican politics, but yeah, certainly, you know, President López Obrador is one of the most important leaders in the hemisphere.
He did it. He did it.
And he pronounced his name right. And see that.
And afterwards went.
Yeah, that was a little bit. He's very happy with himself for getting it right. And look, apparently he should be, since no one else can do it. But he was a bit too proud, I think, a bit too happy.
He could be a bit too happy, but therein lies, again, this sounds so media training 101, but you read the room, you know the room you're going into, right? I'm sure Buttigieg knew, he probably had that information before, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But the fact that he was going to be on Telemundo, which, as I said earlier, is massive with Latinx and Hispanic and etc. You make sure you know your stuff. Yeah. Point blank, period.
Don't miss your chance to win a trip to Los Angeles and have dinner with Cenk, Anna, and me. Just head to tyt.com/dinner in LA to register to win. Sign up for a free Aspiration Spend and Save account. Register your eligibility, swipe your Aspiration card on daily purchases to gain entries to win a chance to fly to LA and have dinner with the TYT hosts. Not only are you entering to win that dinner in LA with Cenk and Anna and myself, but you're also able to deposit your hard-earned money without it going towards fossil fuel exploration or production. And as a friendly reminder, even if you already have an Aspiration account, you must still first register to be eligible for the sweepstakes.